From the Opepco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson. He's Barry Trammell. Do not adjust your sets, folks. The pink eye, Barry, man.
A lot of people tell me I look like I belong on Twilight. I look like one of those vampires.
Well, you're just up with the times, and if that's the case, it's time for our weekly inbox segment where we take your questions that come via email and try to answer them here. Let's get right to the inbox, and Gary's first up. Gary says, do you think the Thunder might be the best team playing right now? By the way, Gary sent in this question before they lost to the Wizards.
And I had a different answer for Gary before that game Wednesday night at Washington. I think the Thunder's been playing great, but that game Wednesday night at Washington's an embarrassment. The Wizards are the worst team I've seen in the last 6 years of the NBA being in Oklahoma City. Worst team I've seen. They're awful. They're disjointed. They have no idea how to play. They're selfish. They're not focused. They're loosey-goosey. They're not all that talented, no matter what anybody says. Just an awful team.
What do you really think about them?
And the Thunder goes out there and just plays like the Wizards. Just, willy-nilly, throw the ball around. Kevin Durant was terrible. He actually shot okay. They lose to the Wizards. You can't sit there and say you're the best team in the NBA when you lay an egg like that. I don't know who the best team in the NBA is, but let me tell you, it's not the Thunder, not right now.
Yeah, that was definitely perhaps the most uninspired performance we've seen by the Thunder since they've been here. And that was even, I think, during the season when they lost all those games their first year here. They had some games when they just had checked out. But that was a game that just, top to bottom was uninspired, I thought. And at a game when they really needed to just go in, take care of business. They had chances with, double-digit leads a couple times in the first half, even early in the second half. To just put the Wizards out of their misery, really a team like that, if you can just step on their throat, Barry, they're going to lay down for you eventually.
No doubt.
But they let Sam Young go crazy. They got out-rebounded, turnovers. Just a terrible performance. So to answer your question, I'm not sure who the best team is either, but Thunder's going to have to prove themselves that they belong in that conversation after that performance. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Greg. Greg says, I am really tired of pitiful basketball. Travis Ford needs to go, or either my 18-year-old season tickets need to go. Wow, what do you think, Barry?
Well, I think Greg needs to find out what he's going to do with that extra money in his pocket, because Travis Ford isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Even if you want to get rid of him, Mike Holder can't afford to. I mean, he's got a 10-year contract, 8 years now on the contract. They're paying Mike Gundy $3.7 million a year to coach football. They can't pay Travis Ford $2 million a year not to coach basketball.
Yeah.
You're stuck with Travis Ford. You better live with it. You better learn to live with him, or you better learn to live without OSU basketball. Your choice.
Yeah, and I think that's right. I don't think Travis Ford is going anywhere. But the Cowboys do need to rally. I mean, they need to rally this year to have some sort of season that they can be proud of, that they can build off of. Last year did not go to the tournament. They rallied somewhat, but didn't rally like they had the two previous seasons under Travis Ford. They need to get something going. I liked what I saw against Iowa State, Barry. If that game would have been at Gallagher, probably, I would think it would have been a different outcome with the home crowd. But, there are a lot of fans getting out of the OSU basketball business. They are bought into football. And we talked about this before. Can you be both big football, big basketball? I don't think you can. Even if the Cowboys start to win, it's going to be tough to get people back.
Well, it's tough for the fan base to be totally committed to both. You're exactly right. So I think Travis Ford's a good coach. We've seen him be a good coach. We know he can coach, but he's done a terrible job of administrating this program the last year or two with retention, with decision-making on recruits. He has not put together a good basketball team.
Great recruiting classes that just don't pan out. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Ed. Ed says, since the Big East teams are faced with the same issues related to scheduling as if West Virginia does leave the conference, I wouldn't be surprised if part of the agreement between the conferences to let West Virginia leave is that other Big 12 schools have to play at Big East opponents for at least one game. Barry, this goes back to the scheduling question you had in a column earlier this week. It's really a mess right now, though.
It is a mess, and I got to tell you, Gary, about your idea. It's a fabulous idea. That's exactly what the Big 12 should do. Go to the Big East and say, listen, we'll pay some penance for this pilfering, this swiping of West Virginia. We'll do some scheduling with you. Oklahoma.
Why not?
Oklahoma will sign up home and home with Rutgers. Texas, sign up with a home and home with Connecticut. Iowa State's already been playing home and home with Connecticut. Oklahoma State will go play Cincinnati. Texas Tech will go play Louisville.
Yeah.
Get some things going like that. That's what the Big East would really appeal to him. That would enhance the Big East television package. It would save the Big 12 on a scheduling situation. It's time that we got a spirit of cooperation. Yeah. We've had a lot of infighting among the conferences, among schools leaving and coming, and it's time we got some cooperation going.
Well, and as you mentioned in your column, one of the biggest issues here, I mean, obviously the Big 12 needs to figure out their conference schedule and get that done. But they've also got a lot of teams that now face a lot of non-conference scheduling, conundrums. Do you have enough teams? Who are you going to bring in? This would help in so many ways and would really help the inventory, which when you look at non-conference games, Barry, there aren't a whole lot of non-conference games involving Big 12 teams that you say, wow, I can't wait for that game. What you say is, I can't wait for that game to be over. This could really help in that regard, too. All right, back to the inbox. Sean brings us our last question. Sean says, funny, the Big 12 could have saved themselves a scheduling headache by inviting BYU. Easy and smooth transition. Stupid decision making on the Big 12's part. What do you make of that, Barry?
Well, I think he's right that bringing Brigham Young into the conference would have made things a lot easier.
With the scheduling.
But then later you start paying the piper. It's making a deal with the devil. Please pardon the reference, Brigham Young. I don't mean to infer anything there. What I'm saying is, you guys bring some baggage. The story out there is that Brigham Young is hard to deal with within a conference. Anybody that's been in the Mountain West or in the WAC in the old days will tell you Brigham Young is a headache. Frankly, trumping anything that's going on with Texas and the Big 12. From scheduling.
Now that seems surprising.
From scheduling, from everything else, Brigham Young was going to create headaches.
Yeah.
And I think the Big 12 made the decision, you know what? We need less strife, not more.
Well, and this is an issue we talk about with scheduling, and with football, it may have been easier, and there's no doubt it would have been easier. We'd already have a schedule out. But when you start talking about BYU, their teams, they don't play Sunday games. That's their prerogative. But you talk about scheduling issues, that becomes an issue, Barry, especially when you're talking about a school that far flung. You're going to want some teams that want some flexibility in scheduling. And if BYU's not willing to play those Sunday games, which they're not, Sunday, whether you're talking about tennis or soccer or basketball or whatever the case is, that creates a whole other scheduling issue aside from how they are to deal with. So I do think this was the right decision not inviting BYU. But it'd be nice to have a football schedule, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it would. And then here's the deal. Anytime anybody's wondering who invited West Virginia, here's who put West Virginia in the Big 12. The television networks. That's who said, listen, enough talk, we want West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's who put West Virginia and the Big 12 together.
They wanted some good games. Lo and behold, that's what they wanted. That's what we'll eventually get. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.